If the first one, there you go. Representative.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, committee. My name is Barbara Ehardt. I'm the state representative from Idaho, and I am the author and the sponsor of first of its kind legislation, Fairness in Women's Sports, that passed this past session. I am proud of this legislation, and I want to tell you a little bit about my story. I myself was born in the 60s, but I grew up in the 70s, and you see, most people don't understand that people my age, women my age, and a little bit older
Representative?
Yes, sir.
Sorry to interrupt.
Absolutely.
Can you state and spell your name first?
Absolutely. It's Barbara, traditional B-A-R-B-A-R-A, and Ehardt is spelled E-H-A-R-D-T.
Go ahead.
Excellent. So again, I grew up in the 70s, and as I was growing up, opportunities for girls and women were very much limited. People would ask me, what is it that you want to do when you grow up? And again, you don't understand. At that time, I thought, oh gosh, maybe I could be a secretary. Didn't want to do that. Maybe I could be an airline stewardess. Don't ask me why. Or be a teacher, something I had eventually pursued. But what I told everybody I wanted to do is I said I wanted to play sports. And I literally was told, that's not what girls do. And yet I continued to pursue my dreams as I watched my brothers participate, and little did I understand, at the age of 8 in 1972, when Title IX was passed, it literally changed my life. And so I was one of those few people that was able to actually participate and play junior high basketball, go on and play, of course, high school. I was able to receive a scholarship. I played college basketball at Idaho State, and then I was able to pursue a 15-year Division I women's coaching basketball career where I coached Division I basketball at 4 fantastic institutions. Now, of course, as you, I'm the legislator. But in pursuing this dream, I know firsthand of the things of which I speak. There is an absolute difference between men and women. You see, at the college level, we would oftentimes bring in practice players, biological male practice players against whom our women would compete. These were not people who were cut from the men's team. A lot of these gentlemen were not even people who played high school basketball. They were just guys that made it more difficult for our women to compete against, so that when they were going up against our actual competition, we were far more prepared. And you know, one of the things I've noticed as we've been talking about this subject has become very myopic. It's been this idea that, you know, gosh, by allowing a biological male to participate on a girls' team, let's take a high school girls' basketball team where we have, say, 12 spots, that we're only displacing one young lady. But you have to understand that I think it's far more than that, because of the advantages that women gain by participating in sports. You see, in 1995, Nike came out with a groundbreaking commercial called "If You Let Me Play." You can Google it. And because at one point Nike big time supported girls and women in athletics. And that commercial addressed some of the issues that if you let me play, I will be 60% less likely to get breast cancer. That's a biological female trait. I will be less likely to stay with a man who beats me. I will be more confident. Okay, the traits that they announced were all biological female traits that we gain from participating in sports. But let's take and play that scenario out. By allowing that one male to participate and displacing that one young lady that probably would have been cut the following year, we also are changing the entire dynamics of the team. The one young lady that might have been the high scorer or the best player, the best defensive player, no longer will be in that role. And it doesn't stop there. Every team against whom that team competes, they will absolutely change the dynamics of the competition because of that biological male. But it doesn't stop there. If you're willing to allow one biological male on that team, you have to also be willing to assume that if 12 biological males tried out for the team, that you would allow all 12 to make it. Now you may say, well, that's not going to happen, but that's not the point. It could happen, and you have to be willing to allow it to happen if you allow one. Now let's take one other example, because right here, and I spoke of it in the floor at Idaho, but you had a biological male compete for the University of Montana on the women's team. That biological male only competed 1 year and did incredibly well at the Big Sky Championships at Idaho State, my alma mater. He absolutely annihilated our women. Now, if June had decided to compete as a freshman, I guarantee you the way athletics goes, at the university level, in order to compete against the University of Montana, every single team in the Big Sky would have to have gone out and changed their recruiting practices. Every single team, in order to compete against Montana, would have been recruiting a biological male athlete on their team. And it wouldn't have stopped there. Every team against whom Montana played, every team against whom the teams in the Big Sky would have competed would then had to continue in order to compete and remain at the top of the game. They too would have to have gone out and to have recruited those people to allow them to be successful. That's how it works in sports. I can give you example after example. Sports is one of the best examples of the college level of Pete and repeat. We copy each other all the time in order to attain success. And recruiting foreign is a perfect example of that. I'm sure I'm going on or about hitting my time. Obviously, there's more I'd like to share, but I would encourage you, as when I was told as a kid that that's not what girls do, I submit to you that if you don't pass legislation such as this, that it will come to the day where there will be no room, no place for girls and women to compete. And at that point, I say to you, where shall we go? Against whom shall we compete? And to whom shall we turn for redress? Thank you very much for your time. You are courageous for taking this up, and I applaud you for your efforts.